Alright guys, welcome back again to this exciting tutorial. So today we want to look at a very important topic which is called exceptional handling. Okay, what is exception handling and why do we really need it? And that is what we're going to take a look at today. We're going to come up with a simple code and explain what this code really means, and I can just wait to take you through this journey and explain step by step on how exceptional handling works in Python. In the last tutorial, we were able to cover inheritance and we were able to relate what you can inherit from your parent as a child and how you can probably use a particular function from child and probably override it so that you can literally convert it to something of your own nature. And we were able to look at how very simple we can write a program that can perform that particular task. So what is exception handling? So exception handling, it's very important. Sometimes when you're writing a code, you experience some error. So instead of the error to pop up, you want a particular message to give you a pop-up like an alert, trying to let you know that there is an error without you seeing the entire error. So that is what exceptional handling really means. So let's imagine you're trying to divide something by 0, and probably whenever that thing is not divisible by 0, it's going to tell you that okay, this is not divisible by 0. Or let's take for instance, you are trying to open a file and that doesn't exist. It's going to tell you that this file doesn't exist. Getting the letter when exception happen occur. That's what that exactly what we want to take a look at. And I don't want to talk too much. I just want to take you through the code concept and understand it. One thing about programming is that you don't need to cram the code. Just understand that all these things really exist, and you should learn where and how to really use it. Instead of your program crashing, Python will give you this kind of way of handling the error gracefully. That's what exception handling does. All right, okay, let me just write some few code and let's see what it really means. Okay, before we proceed, there's something I want you to understand. We have this, let me just show you, we have what is known as try. Okay, what does try really means? We're going to be using some keywords like try. Let me just type because this is going to be a little bit longer, but trust me, I just want you to understand it. But used to see what is known as except, because these are the things you're going to see. These are except, you're going to see what is known as else. You're going to else you're going to see some keywords that we're going to be using finally. All right, I understand that this might sound a little bit or this try to run some code I'm just trying to let you know what all these things are going to see at the end. Yeah, another one is catch the error. All right, it's going to catch the error for you, catch the error if one happens. All right, and another one is run. Yeah, like this. Let's say run this if no error occurs. Yeah, finally always runs whether there is error or not. This is optional. I'm going to explain what it means. Don't worry. All right, those are the keywords that we're going to be using. What are keywords? Keywords are those things that we normally use in Python, but you can use it on your own. It has a specific thing that's actually used for. So you can just use try in Python, you can just use except, you can just use else, you can just use finally. When I say keywords, I mean things that it has a specific words that it has a specific task that is actually performing in Python. Like I said, we are not saying too much of professional jargon here. We just want to break it down in a way that we understand. All right, let's run from few codes. You already understand that we're going to be using try, except, else, and finally. So let's create a code around this. Yeah, so when I say try, you know that I'm going to use it. So when I say try now, try to run some code. Yeah, what is the code I want to run? I want to run a number which is equals to 10, or let me say 20 or whatever, and I want to result to be equals to the number itself divided by 0. All right, if you look at this number, if it is divided by 0, what are you going to see? Okay, let's just print something out. let me say print, open and close bracket, and let me say I'm printing result on its own. I am printing result here. Yeah, this is going to be like just result, and I'm going to say result. If this is just going to print out result for you, okay? But what is exception? Catch the error if one happens. So let's now type except. Yeah, except. Now, when I say except now, if there is 0, let me just type something, 0 division error. 0 division error. So what is 0 division error? I'm going to explain to you. Let's say print. Let's say print. You're going to understand this. You can't divide by 0. You cannot divide by 0. All right. Okay, so when you look at this, 0 division error. So this 0 division error, what is it? What does that really mean? I'm going to copy it before we proceed. I'm going to open a new tab. I'm going to paste it on a new tab. So meaning in Python. All right. So 0 division error happens when you attempt to divide a number by 0. You can see. So it's a terms that we use. It's not as if I'm bringing it from my head. Imagine if I divide this thing by 0. This particular thing should tell me that I cannot divide this thing by 0. That is exactly what. But if I didn't use this, what will happen? So it's just like you're trying to run a code, and the code should run, but anytime you do something that is exceptional, the code will tell you that it's going to prompt a message to you. So I am not supposed, if I'm using this particular thing, like 0 division error, it's just like what we use to avoid a particular number being divided by 0. So if I use this, that means I don't want this entire number to be divisible by 0. That is what it means. So let's run the code. You can even divide this by 0, but let's see if I should divide it by 2, and let's see what's going to happen. You can see result is 5.0. So you can use, I'm able to use try and except. So let's take for instance try, you're trying to run the code. So when you run the code and then the except is catch the error if one happens. So the error that happens is that this shouldn't allow divisible by 0. It's just like using if and else, but this is an advanced way of structuring your code so that if you see an error, there is going to be a pop-up. Okay, so that is what it means. All right, I hope you really understand this in a way. Just understand how to use try and except. So another thing I would like to see is that I want to see if I can probably catch an invalid input. All right, so what does this really mean? I'm going to create a new tab and I'm going to say, you know what, let me use try. This is Blobly. I use try. So if I should use try, what exactly do I want to say? I want to say age. I want to create an age variable. So if I should create an age variable, I want it to be integer. So if I want it to be integer, that is what it means. Open and close bracket. I want it to be integer, and I want to have an input. So I will say enter your age. So now what I'm going to say, you can see I use input, another, let me say function, inbuilt function. So when I say inbuilt function, I mean for local function, the function that comes with Python. So we are not the one picturing this one in my head, we just use it. So if you want to know what int means, open and close bracket, you can probably say int meaning in Python. You can see if I should do this, what does that mean? It says int functions convert specified value into integer. So I want to convert any input I input into what? Integer. So that is what it means. Okay. So if I should now use input, what does input really mean? You can literally understand it as well. Check it out. So I can say, what does input really means? Input. So I just want you to understand that I am not really picking something in my head. Before I record this video, I've already tested this, so no one is an island of knowledge. I'm just trying to let you know how things work, so don't cram this code. So input, in Python, will request user input. So what I want to do is that I want you to be able to input something that's going to be an integer. So that is what I mean by creating an integer, open and close bracket, and I will now put input, open and close bracket. So then I'll say enter your age. So what I want you to enter in this place is that I want you to be able to enter something like an integer. I don't want you to impute something that is not an integer. So that is what it means. All right. So let me just say print. What do I want to print right now? I want to print. Yeah, I want to print Then I want to print you are. How old are you? Let's say I'm 100 years. You are. So I want you to print it out for me. So you are 100 years. So I just have to say you are. If I put 100 here, that means I'm going to say age, which is going to be 100 years old. Years old. All right. So then imagine if that particular user now impute something that is not an integer. So that is why we're going to use cat. I mean, except. Okay. Except. Then if the error is not correct, then I'm going to say value error. So you don't need to cram it. Value error. This thing I've checked it already on Python documentations. I already know that value error really means if I input something that is different, I should display an error. So that what am I displaying? I'm going to say print, because a print is used to display things in Python. Hope you already know that. Please enter a valid input. Please enter a valid input. You can say please enter a valid input. All right. So imagine this. Age cannot be in decimal. You understand what I mean? It should be in integer. So if I should do this, let me just run this code. Let's see if we can experience some error. You can see enter your age. So if I say 23.0, you can see it said please enter a valid input. Enter your age. Because when I enter my age, which is 23.0, it tells me that I should enter a valid input. I did not see you are a particular age years old. So, but imagine if I want to run it again and I say 100 years, because this is not an year, like it is not a float, that it is not in decimal. So imagine if I should run this. Cell executed due to pending input. Okay, I've imputed this. Let me just click on enter. So just say you are 100 years old. So you can see these really catch your code and look into it and discover that you've successfully probably entered something real. So if what you enter is not good, instead of it to display error for you, it gives you something that makes you to understand that what you did is actually wrong. So that is what exceptional handling does. So I'm going to use another typical example where that is really going to make a lot of sense right now. And that in is, let's try another one. So I just wanted to understand this. Let's say you use try. So if you use try, then let's see what exactly we want to do. We want to say if x, let's see if we can perform some kind of calculations, or let's see if we can put things together. So if x is equals to, I want to see if this particular, we are really running very, we're running out of time. Yeah, let's say if x is equals to input, I really want to give you more example in there, but we don't have time. So if integer, if x is equals to integer and the integer is equals to input, you know what this means. If I should do this, I want that input to be an integer. Yeah, if that should be an integer, then enter a number, enter another number. That's what I want to do. That's exactly what I want to do. Enter a number. Okay, so I can just copy this because I don't want to write it again. I'll just give it another. So let's say this is x. The other one is y. All right, if this is x, I need to enter another number. Enter another number. Then if this number is divisible by 0, we don't want it, like let's say can't be divisible by 0. So let's say except. Yeah, let's say except. So this except means print can't divide by 0. But before that, I would like to do something. If I say x and y, let me say result equals to x divided by y. So what does this really mean? This means that you say print, we don't want this particular number to be divisible by 0. So if I say exception, I don't want it to be divisible by 0. So I'll just say 0 division error. 0 division error. So because I use except 0 division error, then I don't want it to be divisible by 0. I want a real number because I want it to be an integer. So I will say, I'm just going to put it can divide by 0. Can divide by 0 because I don't want you to use 0 to divide this. I want you to use something that makes a lot of sense. All right, count divided by 0. So I can create another exception, which is value error. In case you probably did not enter the second value. You can see the way we are actually bringing this together. Value error, you can see. Then if it is value error, that means I want to print only number allowed. So I don't want you to probably impute something that is not a number. All right, only number allowed. Only, just understand this thing. It's really fun. Only number allowed. So then if I should do this, then let's see if I can bring in something else. You can say else. You can see I was able to use else even if without if. All right, then else print result. Then I can now print result. Print result. The result is the real result. You see what this name really means? Then we can now use finally. So I just say print run no matter what. So look at the flow of this code. Let's run the code. Let's fix some error. Enter a number. Let's say I put 10. I put enter. It's going to say enter another number. I put 0. I put enter. You can see it can't be divided by 0. If I should run the code again, enter a number. I put 20. I put enter. Enter another number. I put 12 points. I just put something like words. Only number are allowed. You can see. But let me say I run the code now. And I put 10. I enter. I put 2. I enter. You can see the result is 5.0. Run no matter what. All right, so this is how to use finally. Finally is just like, okay, something that works no matter what happens. So that's just what it means. You can see we're able to understand how to use finally. And if you look at finally is always run error or not. Whether there is error or not is really going to work. We were able to understand how to use else because you can use else together if after exception. And also we understand what except really means. So that's exactly what I try to use together with you. So hope you really understand this because I just want to find a way to explain this thing to you in a very easy way and just picture it in your mind. How do I use try? I'm just trying to create a code. How do I use except? Except is what display the code is as an error, and else is what we normally use in order for us to probably further with when we have more than one except. And finally is what we use to run the code even if there is error or not. So basic. I'm glad that you successfully made it up to this level. And trust me, this is how to understand everything about Python basics. So in the next tutorial, we're going to do a mini project, and I can't wait to just share it with you. Something very simple, just like a school system where we build 3 classes, and we'll be able to see how we can use this to work alongside with how to use it to do a grading system. And this is where we're actually going to stop for now. And until then, see you in the next one.